It's Sports by the Book at the South Point Studio. Here's Jeff Parles.
Welcome in at Sports by the Book here at the South Point Studio. Happy to be with you. It's another week for us. It's another week in the NFL and college football. I'm Jeff Parles, Vinny Magliulo, the Hall of Famer, as always. The best hair in the business as well.
Thank you. I like your hair too.
I needed a haircut for a while. Finally got one on Tuesday. Maybe a little too short, but we'll grow back.
That's you, buddy. That's
we'll
it.
grow back.
You see your smiling face.
We'll grow back. Huh?
Excellent.
I guess so.
Can you believe it's a quarter of the season?
It's week 5
already.
Week 5.
College and pro.
Yeah.
How fast is this going?
Week
right?
5 in the NFL, week 6 in college football. So I just want to bring this up real quick before we get into tonight's game. The college football slate on Saturday involves the game of the year in the Big 12 right out of the gate in the Red River for Oklahoma and Texas.
Right.
An unexpected ranked matchup at my alma mater where Mizzou has been getting bet all week against LSU.
Yes.
Alabama with a tough task against Texas A&M where you're getting Alabama less than a field goal, which is very, very rare these days.
Well, they bet against that.
I know they bet A&M.
You might get them at pick.
Yeah, it's possible. Kentucky, Georgia, Notre Dame, Louisville. Yeah. But the big one is Texas, Oklahoma, which we will touch on before we get out of here today. But first, Vinny, I would imagine Monday was an awful football game with the Seahawks and the Giants. Seahawks cover.
Yeah, it was. It culminated a very good week, or a better week, I should say, for the bettors. I mean, starting really Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening. Even though the Chiefs did not cover, we talked about it a bit on Monday, Jeff. That all the money line parlays and teasers rolled in, and then Monday night with the Giants just getting obliterated, and that was all. The Seahawks were the side. Don't forget the Giants opened as a slight favorite when before people realized that Saquon
wasn't going to play.
Was not going to play. So so we pay our patrons with a smile, and they reload, and they're betting tonight, buddy.
Giants right now at home, Vinny, have been outscored 64-3. In 2 games.
Well, they're going to Miami this week.
And they're going to Miami.
They might get outscored 64-3 in the game.
Oh, and then they go to Buffalo the week after.
Yeah, good time.
It's only going to get worse for the Giants. Giants this week in the NFL, just making sure I had it. Yep, of course, I had them right in my notes. Highest line of the week is Miami and the Giants, which we will hit. If we don't hit it today, we'll hit it tomorrow on our Football Friday show.
Is that a tease?
We have 2 hours.
What you guys in the business call a tease?
A little bit of a tease.
See, teasers are different for us.
Yes. So
right? Your version of a teaser is that's a teaser.
I can't
tease.
I can't take my tease down 6 points. Can't do that.
No, but we can.
You can though.
All right, let's
get to it.
I'm not going to tease them anymore. It went from 9.5 to 11.5. The Dolphins. How's that? Now, part of that was the adjustment, also off of the adjustment against the Giants on Monday night.
All right. So speaking of disasters, the Chicago Bears have been the biggest disaster of everyone in the NFL so far this year.
Yeah.
They do get their center back tonight. Devin Jenkins will be active for the first time this year. Chase Claypool, yet again, a healthy scratch. No, not much of a shock on that. We'll have a full lineup of injury reports in a little bit, about an hour 40 for 4 game time. So 3:40 Pacific, 6:40 Eastern when you'll get the official injury reports and who's in, who's out officially for both the Commanders and the Bears. And Vinny, Washington is 2-2. If you're the Commanders, you actually have to feel pretty good about the 2-2. Yeah, they got smoked by Buffalo in week 3, but last week, a surprising decision to kick the PAT and try to not end the game right there by Ron Rivera with the Philly defense on their heels. They go 3-and-out on the first drive of overtime, and then Philadelphia finds a way in OT to move the 4-0, but Washington got the money after their first 2 wins the first 2 weeks. Bears, we well documented what they did on Sunday.
Yes.
3-touchdown lead in the fourth quarter, not good enough. They lose to the Broncos by a field goal, 31-28. And Vinny, this opened 6.5. You're down to 6, but it took quite the path to get back to 6.
Well, yeah. Listen, they took 6.5 originally. Again, the numbers here at South Point. Chris Andrews, director here at South Point, releases the NFL numbers on Sunday evening. So 6.5. They took 6.5 initially. Took 6. We're down. We're down as low as 5.5 early. But it's been about the Commanders ever since. So sitting at 6 and 44.5 right now, Jeff. Not a lot of movement on the total. So if you look at it, it looks like kind of two-way overall. But I would say that by the time this game kicks off, because it's the jump start for the weekend, and there's been so much anti-Bears money. I mean, listen, when you're taking, so we don't want a 6 tonight, right? We don't want
You don't want
Washington by 6 as the house. But there's so much anti-Bear action anymore. We'll probably, it would, be beneficial for the Bears to at least cover tonight. By the way, I in terms of the extra point, we're not kicking or kicking the extra point, Rivera. If they wind up winning that game in overtime, they're 3-1 in the division, right?
And they're in first place,
and they're in first. So I don't listen. I know there's a case could be made for going for 2 there, but I also understand him kicking the extra point and taking their chances in overtime the way they did. So
the average 2-point conversion is right around 50%.
Right.
So my whole thinking is they have a better shot of converting the 2 than winning the game in overtime. So
I mean,
that's the way I would have played it.
Again, you get either way.
Regardless, they might have lost either way.
They might
have lost either way. So regardless, for Washington too, where an opportunity to get back above water tonight against one of the bigger messes in the league right now. Bears only one of 2 0-4 teams. Carolina, along with them, is the only other 0-4. I mean, Washington's got a pretty manageable schedule over the next 3 weeks, or including this game tonight, before they get that rematch with Philly the final Sunday of October. Mm-hmm. They're in Atlanta, where they'll be a slight underdog, but not a big underdog. Yeah. And they're at the Giants, where I would say they should be a road favorite, even though the Giants may end up being favored in that game, despite what we've seen from the Giants. But they're 2 winnable road games before getting Philadelphia again in Landover. And then they play New England, who New England's defense is just so battered with injuries right now.
I could see, again, and the home teams on these primetime games, right? They always draw attention too, because there's been a lot of success for the home teams too, Jeff. So overall, too, I think from a mindset standpoint, call it a morale standpoint, a more stable locker room standpoint right now, it's certainly Washington. I mean, listen, the Bears have underperformed based on the anticipation going into the city we've talked about. And we've got a lot of, you look behind us here at the South Point, we've got a lot of locals that we see on a regular basis. A lot of those folks are Chicagoland transplants, and they grew up, they love their Bears. They back them with a lot of passion. We've talked about it. There was a lot of hope, I guess, and backing for the Bears going into the season in terms of winning the division, in terms of futures, yes, no for the playoffs, a little bit of yes play, a lot of over their win total. So I think it's just as so much disappointment because the expectations were much higher. Now, conversely, you look at Washington. Nobody was really talking about Washington, right?
Not at all.
Right. So I think they find themselves in a good spot. Outside of the Bills game, where, listen, that was an absolute disaster. I mean, seven turnovers, from under center alone, right? I think it was between interceptions and fumbles. So, listen, that's why I say by the time this game kicks off, we're probably certainly going to need the Bears to keep it close.
Vinny, individual props for tonight. Also, team totals available as always for every NFL game.
The team totals. We've got individual props, and again, our props here are based on teams. We got an alternate point spread. If you like the Commanders to dominate tonight, you can lay 14.5 and get 3-1 for your money. If you think
you want to lay the 3.5 with the Bears,
how about the 3.5? Listen, maybe they turn things around. You get 3.5 to 1 for your money. But the ones that folks love, you've got. Shortest touchdown in the game, that the infamous 1.5 over and under 1.5 yards. Under is the favorite at $1.30. We always put up the individual team totals as well, Jeff. So when you look at this and people love it, there's something. If you don't like something in the game or you want to amplify your action on the game, then you find a prop or two that you like and put it on and go that way. So I think individual team totals. Commanders about 27 and a half. So how does that you like that? You like that one? Would you go over or under that one?
Feels right.
Okay.
Feels right.
What do you want it to feel wrong?
No, I'm just saying it feels right, which means it's a no play for me.
Okay.
And so
do you like anybody tonight?
Do I like anyone tonight? I have a weird suspicion that the Bears are going to cover this game and lose in horrible fashion.
Ooh, so what cover?
I think it's going to be a field goal game. I think it's a field goal game where Chicago, like last week, where Chicago was the better team for most of that game against Denver, and then the wheels came completely off in the fourth quarter. I don't know if it'll be like that because that's pretty epic stuff they did a week ago. But it wouldn't shock me if this is like, all right, this looks like a coin flip the whole way.
Yeah.
Chicago has the ball down 3 late, and Fields turns it over when they're already in field goal range or something ridiculous like that. Last week was they didn't take the points on 4th and 1 where. Granted, I didn't hate the decision to go for it on 4th and 1, but I absolutely despise the play call that they came up with, a shotgun run for a running back when you only have the best running quarterback in the NFL. So, yeah, this Bear team's going to find a way to lose a lot of games, Vinny, and they are the worst team in the NFL at the moment for a reason. So,
how about the Bears total at 19.5?
I think that if anything, 24-21 feels right to me today.
Okay.
So
there you go. So
maybe that's an over.
Okay.
But I don't feel strong. I don't feel strong enough. I actually, if anything, if you're making me bet tonight's game, I would take the points, even though it's not the best of the number.
And I think
I'm still getting 6.
The initial response on Sunday night, that's taking the points on Sunday night, taking the 6.5 and the 6. That's more pro money on Sunday night. That's not John Q. public betting on Sunday night.
Well, and the 7 was what? The 7 was around for a blink of an eye, basically, right?
If you had just an eye patch, that's how quick. Yeah,
it's very quick.
Yeah.
All right, Vinny, I want to do one more thing in football on the college side, real quick.
Okay.
Because there are some games tonight, and then we'll look at the baseball playoffs. Because you said we'd have game 3, at least a game 3 tonight. We have 0.
I thought so.
I thought 0.
Well, aren't you shocked that all 4 series went to sweep to 2-0?
I'm surprised we don't have 1. I'm not surprised that. I'm not surprised Philly swept. But we'll get into baseball in a little bit.
Okay.
But tonight in football, because you just had to move real quick.
Yeah, Liberty.
Liberty and Sam Houston State. Sam Houston State. The fact that they didn't cover last week against Jacksonville State, still one of the more disgusting non-covers of the year.
In the last minute.
Yeah, it was horrible.
30 seconds maybe.
Now to go on the road to Liberty, and this is a difference in class, at least for what Sam Houston is at the time. Liberty has been bet up from 19.5 when you opened on Monday to 22 now.
Just went to 22 here at South Point. No hesitation betting Liberty tonight. 3 touchdowns, not a problem.
46 also has not moved the whole week. You actually have the market low in the total.
Yeah, I suspect that'll, by the time
get to 46.5
o'clock Pacific kickoff, that total will probably tick up. Yeah.
And then the other game tonight, the Hilltoppers, Big Red and company, head down to Ruston to take on the Bulldogs of Louisiana Tech. 6 to 6.5, back to 6 on this one, with Western Kentucky laying it on the road tonight.
Just another example, just like the pro game tonight. No, don't want Western Kentucky by exactly 6. So, but two-way action overall, Jeff. Total on this one down a little bit, 58.5 off the 60 opener. So a little bit of under money.
This is not one of your better Western Kentucky teams, at least from what I've seen through 5 weeks. Granted, it's okay to get whipped by Ohio State. There's nothing wrong with that.
If you say that, then this is definitely not one of your better Louisiana Tech teams. No. La Tech's pretty mediocre. Yeah. There's really no way to slice it differently. They're just a mediocre football team. But I want nothing to do with this. This is kind of a sleepy spot for Western Kentucky also. So we'll stay away. These are schools too that really have a lot of defections with the transfer portal these days, right? Let's remember that. You know, we talk about the transfer portal quite a bit, but we think it's all Power 5 and Group of 5 players, teams with players making those moves. That's not the case. Some of these smaller schools, they're the ones that really get cherry picked as well. And listen, there's some good talent. There's some good players, and they're helping some schools in the Power 5 conference.
Vinny, after tonight, Western Kentucky has a bye week next week and then plays back-to-back Tuesdays.
By the way, isn't today
first day?
Second day.
Yesterday was the
50 straight
50
games?
Straight football days.
Right, Chris Andrews and I were just
Yesterday started it with. Boy, if you were with me on Middle Tennessee, that looked good for a half, and then the wheels came off in epic fashion in the second half yesterday against Jacksonville State.
You're getting on a lot of bad wagons.
Who, me?
We got to get you right.
No. I haven't been on that many bad wagons. Come on now. We're doing okay. We're doing okay this year.
All right, buddy.
That was good for a half, though. First half was good. We split the deal. Split the first half.
The
of the full
wheels,
game.
they wobble and then fall off.
Well, Jacksonville State. I got to give Jacksonville State some credit here, Vinny. They're 5-1 in their first year in FBS. It's pretty hard to do any way you slice it.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's a move up. And again, this is particularly with what we're talking about players leaving. These are schools that a lot of players are leaving, which creates opportunities for others, right? And then they get in and battle and they showcase their talents. And if they move on, they move on. But from our perspective, having football every day, let's remember this again: with nearly $10 billion a year wagered in the state of Nevada alone, look, football is 60% of that, 65% of that. So having football for either college or pro for 50 straight days, great for business.
Absolutely, it's great for everybody.
Yeah.
Great for everybody, for sure. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, 4 for 4 on sweeps in Major League Baseball. So that means we've updated futures. We've updated series prices for the division series in Major League Baseball that begin on Saturday. Vinny and I will look at those and more when we get back. Sports by the Book here at the South Point Studio. Welcome back in at Sports by the Book here at the South Point Studio. I'm Jeff Parles, Vinny Magliulo alongside. All right, Vinny, you have a stack of tickets in your hand.
Xfinity race on Saturday. So it's race weekend, South Point 400 race weekend next week. We do have some free tickets available. So come to the Sportsbook counter.
This is October 14th.
October 14th, yes, the Xfinity race.
The Xfinity race, which I believe, which is what? Doors open at what time are they saying the ticket there, Vinny?
The gates open at 8:30 a.m., then the race goes at 12:30.
Okay.
So we'll have tickets available for you and a guest. Just come up to the counter, mention that you heard it here.
Yes.
On Sports by the Book, and we'll let you go to the race.
Make sure you mention that you heard it on Sports by the Book.
Absolutely.
That's
Please do.
That's how you get your tickets.
They're probably lined up right behind it. We have one in the book, right?
Well, and again,
I
was going to say ask for Jimmy, but we don't want to do that to Jimmy.
And Jimmy won't drive you there either.
No.
That's okay. You do have to get there.
But
it's a great weekend.
Let's get on north.
By the way, the South Point booth out there is the greatest. It's a party. It's a lot of fun. I got to tell you, it's you're
going up there. Are you going up there on Friday this year?
No, I'm going. When am I going? We're on Friday.
We are on next Friday.
I may be there out there on Saturday.
Oh, there we go.
After we go.
Okay.
So I may be out there.
Look at that. So, if you get the tickets, you may see Vinny in the flesh.
You might. But have your tickets already, please.
Yes, get your tickets. Absolutely.
Yeah. So
at the counter, mention Sports by the Book.
Yep.
A pair of tickets.
You and a guest, folks.
Until they're all gone, while supplies last.
Yes.
It's a fun. Do it sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
That's all I say. There's Jimmy over there. Jimmy's hearing us already. He's walking on over. He's not coming in the studio. There he is.
He just wanted to verify I was in here and not in the spa.
See if you're watching behind, you'll see Jimmy walk right behind us right now if you're watching the stream over at home. All right, Vinny.
All right, buddy.
Baseball. Vinny, underdogs winning their series in Texas. Really just an abysmal showing by Tampa.
Wow.
So a nice plus price on the Rangers if you bet that. A nice plus price on the Arizona Diamondbacks, who went to Milwaukee, took full advantage of Brandon Woodruff not being there. Vinny, I saw one yesterday that the Milwaukee Brewers
Both of those, by the way, 175 plus
good prices.
Plus 155. So better than 3-2
good.
on those two dogs.
You want something fun with the Brewers? An infamous stat for them?
Tell me.
The Brewers are the second team in Major League Baseball history to have a multi-run lead at home in each of the final two games of a postseason series, but lose by 3 runs or more in both games.
Wow.
Joining the 2003 Chicago Cubs.
Oof.
Hello, Steve Bartman.
You know, I've got to tell you, too, and we did touch on this on Monday, Jeff, when we were talking about baseball going into the first games of the wild card round. You know, remember what the streak was with the Twins? Hadn't won, 18 in a row? I think it was
18 straight. It was 18 straight playoff games. Hadn't won a playoff series in 19 years.
I don't know if any of these players were on any of those teams.
They were
that's
not.
Why
no.
you throw all of that out. You look at the team now. Again, the fact that all 4 became sweeps, I think that's a surprise, right?
I would agree. All 4 are being sweeps.
You know, now are we surprised that the Twins came through? Surprised that the Rangers came through? No, but I think the surprise is that they along with the other 2 series just went the 2 games. And listen, credit the Rangers, right? Because they could have been left for dead. Remember, just a few weeks, I think with 10 games to go or less than 10 games to go, they had a 3-game lead for the division.
Right.
And their response was phenomenal. Given what they did here. So but we move on to the division. We'll have so we're not baseball now until Saturday.
Right. So we off today, off tomorrow.
Right.
We'll do this today because tomorrow's football Friday. You know, Vinny, I'll say this. Just looking at your opening prices, and you'll tell us where we're sitting at as of this moment.
Mm-hmm.
I want to start on the American League side because Baltimore's up first. They are the early game on Saturday, 105 East, 10:05 out here in Vegas. Baltimore, currently the second favorite to win the AL pennant at plus 250. Houston's still shorter. This is almost a flip. Baltimore is slightest of favorites. You open to that. Minus 115 on the O's, minus 105 on Texas.
On the
series price.
On the series price. We opened it, actually, we're at minus 15 on the O's. Hold on.
So that's stay put.
No, we're at $1.30
on the O's.
Yeah. So
okay. So people have taken Baltimore.
People are betting the Orioles without Batista. Their closer has been now. He's been out for about a month and a half. So we will not see him. I just want to verify that. Yeah, that price. Yeah, I just looked at it. So we will not see him. Rangers come in with house money, right? I mean, let's face it. When you look at what they've done, and a lot of times, Jeff, I have to tell you, they're in a rhythm. Yet the teams that had the bye, I think the bye hurt the Braves last year, right?
Yeah. I definitely did last year.
So teams. I think a lot of folks think that. Listen, let's get the rest, and sometimes the rest doesn't benefit a team. I don't know if it. If it's going to help the Orioles here or not. I mean, obviously they set up their pitching rotation the way they want, but now the fact that they swept, the Rangers are set up the way they want to be too.
Just at 2 and 3. I mean, that's all it'll be.
Yeah.
Instead of 1 and 2 for Texas, they'll get their guys in the games that they want them, especially that first playoff game in the new ballpark in Arlington that is featuring the Rangers, because of course the World Series was there in the pandemic season in 2020.
That's right. Yeah.
I do want to ask you one.
By the way, Joe,
go ahead.
$1.30. We did go. Yeah, just
$1.30 on the series.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I do want to ask you one quick thing on just backtracking for a second, because a mutual friend of ours who is very smart. I asked him this, and I'm just curious on your thoughts here, Vinny. We're 2 years into the wild card system now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, those first round series have been 7 sweeps out of 8 series. The only game 3 that we had was last year at San Diego, New York. Okay. That was it. 7 of 8 have been sweeps. Do you think that is just a small sample anomaly, or do you think that is something moving forward? Like, okay, you lose game 1. I'm not a huge momentum believer, but in this, I would believe that could be something that could lead to that has led to 7 out of 8 series being sweeps.
I don't know. I think, for 2 years, Jeff, I mean, like you said, it's only 8 series.
Small sample anomaly.
I mean, I don't know, because you know what? The next 2 years, all 8 combined series, 4-4, they may go 3, right? And then it averages out. So I don't know. I think it's, for me personally, it's too small a sample size. You're paying attention to the talent and starting with the pitching and going from there. So I don't know. What did our mutual
agreed with you?
Yeah,
agreed with you.
Too.
Yeah,
okay.
Agreed with you on that.
So yeah, I just think it's. What do you think? Don't you think? I mean,
I think it's more likely.
Would it shock you next year if they all went 3 games?
No,
right?
wouldn't. Nothing in baseball playoffs shocks me.
Yeah.
Nothing. If you told me all of these series went 5, I wouldn't be shocked.
Sure.
If you told me all these series got swept, I'd be a little surprised. But hey, didn't play, especially with the way that these work out.
And by the way, and I'm sorry, Jeff, that first
problem.
game, the Orioles holding steady at $1.40.
Okay.
And the total at 8 for game 1.
It's. I like Baltimore to get out of the American League. I understand why the price for the series opened the way it did. Questions at the back end of the bullpen without Bautista.
Yeah.
Now, Cano has been really good this year as well at the back end. But more importantly, questions of how are these starting pitchers that, yes, Bradish was awesome this year. Yeah. First time he's ever been in the postseason scenario. It'll be interesting to see how these youthful birds do in a circumstance like this.
They shook a lot off too, right? And especially in the last one. Listen, Tampa never went away. In fact, Tampa, with about
there was a series with Baltimore and Tampa.
They took the first 2 games of a 4-game series and wound up, I think, by percentage points ahead.
They were ahead for a day,
and then the Orioles said no, and they came back and won the next 2, and held on to win the division. So there's. I have to tell you, both of these teams have shown some resiliency, which I think is going to make for a good series.
Let's go to the other American League series, Houston and Minnesota. Minnesota finally wins a playoff series.
Yeah.
And credit to them, they were clearly the right side in that series against the Blue Jays. Blue Jays, really both AL East teams really didn't bother to show up this week in these wild card series. Tampa, a lot more guilty of it than Toronto. At least the games are close against Minnesota. Tampa was not competitive in either game. Houston, somehow, some way, they found a way to win the American League West yet again.
Sure.
And they are the betting favorites to win the AL pennant, and I think properly so, Vinny, at plus 150 to win the pennant. The Twins, the long shot right now at plus 375 to win the American League. Series price, Vinny. You open minus 160 on the Astros, plus 140 on the takeback. Where are we sitting right now on the series price?
Sitting right there, 60-40. So, you know what's interesting, too? Again, we oftentimes talk about home field advantage, right? We've talked a lot about it in football, how it's come back to to the dogs, if you will, right? It's not as pronounced as it once was. I've got to tell you, in baseball, too, the Astros, check their record. They have a losing record at home this year. There are teams that would rather be on the road. I think there's less pressure on the road, and especially after winning a first-round series, right? So
Houston was 39-42 at home, 51-30 on the road.
So
that's an anomaly if I've ever seen it.
Well, there you go. So there's something to be said about that. And now, again, you talk about a team playing with house money in the Twins. Look, they're on the road. Okay, we're fine. You kind of rally around each other a bit more. There's a lot less, requests and all. There's a lot of work to playing at home. And now, sure, you have to travel. You're not sleeping in your bed. There's some things. But I've got to tell you, for professional athletes these days, you know what? You talk to some of them. Listen, we're just focused on one thing. Just getting to the ballpark, taking care of business. And I think that bears watching. But yeah. The Houston Astros with a losing record at home this year.
Yeah, and still won 90 games.
Yeah,
pretty amazing.
Yeah. So I guess you play them when they get to Minnesota.
It's interesting. I don't have a play on this series, but Minnesota does have the starting pitching to do this because
Astros had some injuries.
Yeah,
and still do.
Yeah, the Twins
compared to who was in the rotation a year ago during their run.
Oh, look, it's not the same team as it was.
Although they do have that guy named Verlander who's real good.
Well, yeah, he's all right. Yeah. He's all right, and Altuve, Bregman, the key pieces still good there offensively. Yeah. But Minnesota's pitching sets up pretty well in here because with the 2-game sweep, now Joe Ryan can go in game 1.
Right.
So you didn't have to burn your best left-handed starter.
Mm-hmm.
Lopez slides into game 2, and Gray slides into game 3.
Yeah.
So you still have the same guys that you would have wanted in this series, 1, 2, 3. It's just that, all right, maybe the order is not exactly what you want, but Minnesota has the starting pitchers in order to win this series. Again, I'm not strong enough to bet this because fading the Astros in the postseason is usually not a fun venture.
Right.
So we're going to stay out of it. But Minnesota does match up pretty well here, at least starting pitching-wise.
I think Correa, by the way, will be activated, right? He comes
Correct. I mean, Correa's back. Correa played in the last series.
He played well. He missed the end of the regular season, but he seems to be healed. And I know he'll what he hit, like almost 20 homers.
Correa was awesome in Houston. I don't know about that many, but he was
a guy that too wasn't even going to be on the Twins this year. He was going to be a Met.
He was going to be
a
giant. He was going to be a giant
right?
first. But regardless, and again, Royce Lewis, the rookie, homered twice in game 1, even though he's banged up too. There are injuries at play on both sides here. I don't have any interest in touching this series, though. Would not shock me either way. Anything in the American League's in play here? If you told me Texas beat Houston in the ALCS, fine. You told me Baltimore beat Minnesota, fine. Anything is in play here in the American League. NL side. Let's get the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks first, because the Dodgers, as we know, very public team here in Las Vegas.
You think?
As always. The Dodgers, right now, the second favorites to win the whole thing, plus 450. Only the Braves shorter at plus 260. The Dodgers get the Diamondbacks. 2 divisional matchups here in the division series in the NL side.
Yes.
Braves given no favors because it's bracketed as opposed to reseeding here in the NL side. Arizona was pretty impressive in those 2 games in Milwaukee, taking care of business, winning both of them comfortably. They're $2. They opened $2 underdogs in this, plus 200 on the D-backs on the take-back. You're laying 240 on the LA Dodgers. Where are we sitting right now, Vinny?
Just went to 245.
Okay, so
never ever at a loss.
Never the shortage for
Dodger money in Las Vegas. Look, Dodgers. I guess the concern, if there's a concern for the Dodgers, on the one hand, is their pitching, but again, they just keep rolling people out of their system.
Find a way,
and it's been that way since they were in Brooklyn. I remember my father telling me that. By the way, I don't know if I ever told you this. My mother went to school with Sandy Koufax.
Okay.
Graduated with Sandy Koufax. And she used to say to me, because I'm looking at her yearbook one day. We were looking through some old stuff, and I'm looking, I see this Koufax. Look, Ma, I said, Ma, this Sandy Koufax? She goes like this. She goes, yeah, he was pretty good at baseball.
You think?
He was a pretty good baseball player. I'm like, yeah, Ma. She goes, yeah, the Dodgers liked him, and they he signed with the Dodgers. I'm like,
I got a pretty good Koufax story for you during the break too.
Okay.
But it's
he was a pretty good.
He's a pretty good fit. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good one. All I'm going to say is Kershaw. I'm not entirely sure what we're getting out of him because obviously he's battled the health issues this year. They're
going to need him to step up.
They're going to need him twice probably in this series. Of all based off the prices here, this is a very juicy price to pass on for Arizona. The only thing I will say that I am concerned about on the Arizona end of things is I want to see what Merrill Kelly looks like because he's going to get the ball on Saturday in game 1. They won the game. They won the game with their third pitcher pitching game 1. They won yesterday with Gallen, who had a rocky first inning.
Because they had to qualify. Remember,
they had to make sure that they were in the playoffs.
No question.
Even though they ended up losing that whole series against Houston the final weekend. Go figure. But they actually ended up better because they lost those games because they didn't run into Philly. He was a total juggernaut at the moment.
Yep.
But I'm not saying the Diamondbacks are going to win this series. But this is a price that is probably going to end up in the account for me just because it's a best of 5.
Yeah.
There is an argument to be made that Arizona actually has the better starting pitching in this series, and that gives them a shot. I'm not saying the Dodgers are going to lose. Not saying that the minus 245s are going to
looking at the value price plus 205.
But the price is pretty darn good to pass up for me on Arizona.
Good point. No, it's a fair point.
And then the last one, Vinny, in my opinion, I know the numbers don't say it. I know you'll say the power ratings don't say it either. These are the two best teams in baseball to me at the moment, playing each other in Atlanta.
Playing the best ball
Yes.
now. Actually, I think the Phillies played the better.
They played better in
down
September.
The last, down the stretch, yeah.
Philadelphia, Atlanta, second consecutive year we've seen this matchup in a division series. Phillies were a bigger underdog a year ago, pulled it off in 4, en route to making the World Series a year ago as the 6th. Now the Braves have comparable offensive numbers this year to the 1927 New York Yankees offense. That team was pretty good, that 27
That's what I
Yankee
read.
team. That we all read about it. None of us were alive on the desk for that one.
Thank you. Finally, we found something that we were both
I knew you were going to say something
angels.
like that. So, Braves are plus 120 to win the NL. They're the favorites to win the whole thing as well, as we know. 13-5 on your fractions there, Vinny, for Atlanta to win it all. But you know what? This price is right to me. Braves minus 160 to open. Phillies plus 140. That opener felt right to me, Vinny.
Yeah.
Where have the bettors taken it, if they've taken it anywhere at all?
They bet the Braves to get revenge from
they
last
bet
year.
the Braves up. Okay.
Even up to $1.70 now, Jeff.
Okay.
And even with Philly being fresher and really playing
demolished Miami for 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, they were the better squad. There's no doubt about it. But look, credit them for getting there. Don't forget that division was all about the Mets, right? Who not only did they not get to the postseason, they didn't play 500 ball.
Right.
I mean, they were done.
They're done
at
early.
the All-Star break.
They're done early.
So, I guess the Diaz ACL injury in the World Baseball Classic spelled doom.
That was doom right away.
Yeah, but Philly, this is going to be a good series. It'll be a fun series to watch. No strangers.
No, look, to me the winner of this series wins the World Series.
Wins the World Series, not just the pennant.
Yes, I think the winner of this series is winning the whole thing.
All right.
For Atlanta, it's the get by the team that KO'd you last year. I mean, that team last year was awesome for Atlanta. But they're better this year. The one problem for Atlanta is the Phillies. Even though they made the World Series a year ago, the Phillies are better this year than they were a year ago. They are deeper offensively, and their pitching, I think, is a little more reliable because Nola and Wheeler are both pitching better.
Well,
right
Trey
now.
Turner's a big difference,
A
right?
little bit. For Atlanta, and you were making the motion with your arm. There is a question about Atlanta's pitching, especially the back end.
I would, and Philly just is one of those. Whenever a Phillies team gets to the postseason, they are absolute gamers, right? I mean, that's something that you could call on history about.
Yeah,
Phillies teams get to the postseason, and there's no let up.
No, not at all. And that is what we.
And they're a together group.
What we saw at Citizens Bank Park the last 2 nights is the closest thing you're going to see to a football environment.
Yeah.
In a baseball game this postseason. Now, you know what? Actually, I'll take that back. The fans in Baltimore might be able to do something like
Camden
that.
Yards,
because that would be a rowdy crowd as well.
Yeah.
But
be a heck of a series, wouldn't it?
What if it's Philly and Baltimore? Right. That's what I think is going to happen.
You like that?
I do.
I'm glad you mentioned.
Oh, we got the exactas,
because you asked for it the other day. You ask and you shall receive.
Oh, excellent.
The Chris Andrews. Excellent. Exactly. Chrissy came up with this years ago when he was up in Cal Neva up north.
Mm-hmm.
So you like? Okay, so let me ask you this.
Well, what's the price?
Who do you like to win that series?
If it's Philly and Baltimore, I like Philly.
You like Philly to defeat the Orioles, 30-1.
What's the flip side?
The Orioles to defeat the Phillies is going to be, it's 40-1.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but the exact outcome, and that's you get to pick each team to beat the other team, courtesy of Chris Andrews, ladies and gentlemen.
Vinny, we're going to take a quick break because our friend Jimmy Vaccaro just walked in. So we got some thoughts from Jimmy. When we get back, we'll wrap things up here on Sports by the Book at the South Point studio. Welcome back in Sports by the Book here at the South Point studio. Week 5 National Football League getting rolling tonight. Vinny Magliulo is alongside. I'm Jeff Parles. And now joining us in studio, Jimmy Vaccaro, as always, with us right now. Jimmy, welcome in.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I'm here because, I want to be here. Yes. I like being here. I consider you a new friend. I've known Vincenz for 40 years. Do we know anything together? Or do you think like we just get through the motions? What do you really think of guys like me and Vincenz and Chris who've been doing this for 100 years?
You guys know what you're doing.
Thank you, Jeff.
You guys know what you're doing.
Thank you, Jeff. You can stay on the air.
Yeah, you guys know what you're doing.
All right, let me throw a few things here. Maybe we can talk about it. First of all, it hasn't been a big bet game so far. The biggest bet we've taken was a money line bet for $10,000 on the Vikings plus $1.70. Now that ain't mashed potatoes, but it's not like whatever. Yeah. And let me run this by you, Vincenz.
Go ahead, Sean.
Jump in. We're into week 5 already. That's how fast this stuff goes when we enjoy what we're doing. And just think, week 5, we were like a little bit ago, man, what's going to happen? It's week 5 already.
Quarter of the season gone.
Quarter of the season done already. Let me tell you guys something, and the people out there, a lot of them like to hear this stuff because I get a lot of it, people coming up to me. Say, Jimmy, how does the book make money? What do they do? What's the percentage? Whatever. And Vincenz gets it also.
Yeah.
I can say this because obviously I'm in the back with Chris. We've been right where we should be with our percentage that we hold on sporting events. And if we do our 6 to 6.5, that's about it. People out there thinking that we hold 15, 20% on the game. 6%. And let me clarify this to some degree. We have people who know a little bit more every year about what they're doing. The savior with us is like we get new people every year who don't know what they're doing, and it balances out. But I can tell you this. It's been a season, as we've talked about. The handle is insane. The handle for college football is going to knock the NFL out pretty soon because, again, as we speak a million times, the colleges starts at 9 o'clock on Saturday morning. They're not done till 11:30 that night. At least with the NFL, you get a few breaks now and then. Not that the NFL and jump in anytime. One of the biggest reasons for the increase on people coming and keep people wanting to bet is like the entertainment value is insane if you watch some of these finals with these games. I heard it was like, I can't even begin to tell you how many swear words there is when the kid from Kansas City slid with the half-yard line. I mean, you can only imagine. And I got this all the next day. Yeah, you guys called. What are you talking about? Like, wait, hold on, kid.
Yeah.
We're going to call and tell them, like, we want you to do this and really, really slide down to the half-yard line. It changed millions of dollars everywhere. We have no authority over that out there. So I just want to tell you when those things happen. And the one guy told me, the graveyard kid, the guy wouldn't leave because he said he's going to call gaming. Because you cheated me. What do you mean we cheated you? You had Kansas City, not us. That's what you get with the
Nobody took 9.5 with the Jets at all. Of course not. Nobody. No, we didn't pay any of that.
No one took 8.5 with the Jets. All those numbers got home on the Jets.
But what it does, it creates interest. What it does is like people who didn't do it before. I mean, what you get a lot of, and here again, I'm leaning on my friend here. It's if you walked up and down the sports book like 10 minutes after the game started on Sunday, you would be surprised. There's more women than there ever was. And that doesn't like go from here to here, but you can tell. And like I think what's happening, a lot of people, their wives want to get involved. At least, well, if you're going to go watch football all the time, I'm going to go with you. And they found out that they liked it. They found out a $40 parlay. They can watch 2 or 3 games.
Yeah.
So this is something that we didn't create, but the NFL and the college football created themselves. So, Vincenz, what do you see?
I see with Jimmy's points are that people are much more informed today also. And
there's more information.
And this forum helps that also. And we're not opposed to it. It's okay for people. Listen, when you invest in something, whether it's the stock market or it's real estate or whatever, you do your homework. Okay. Well, people are doing their homework more, and there's more vehicles for them to do that homework and to make more educated decisions. And it's okay, and we're okay with it. Why? Because to Jimmy's point also, it creates more business. Again, when you look at, I mentioned earlier in the previous segment about Nevada's handle approaching that $10 billion mark just for Nevada. Well, Jimmy and I got into the business. Horse racing was 4-1 over sports wagering back in fiscal year 1970. I mean, there wasn't $1 million bet on sports wagering. Now, obviously, that has completely flipped and whatnot for a lot of reasons. But the fact of the matter is, as the industry continues to grow, as it is now not becoming, but now is part of the mainstream. Again, you can't watch or listen to a sporting event without a reference to the gaming side of it. And so, it's fine with us. The folks sitting behind us and the folks listening and watching right now, you know what? If it helps you and you make more informed decisions, that's okay.
Let me right to our youngster here.
Yes.
And give me two answers. I'm serious about this.
Yeah.
When did you first start interested in like making a little $50 parlay? How old were you?
Interest?
Yeah.
Interest. I mean, look, whenever you're in college, you have the interest. The first bet I made here was the March Madness after my 21st birthday.
There you go.
And I can tell you, I remember the game exactly because it was a ridiculous beat right on in the first one that I made here in Vegas. It was Oklahoma versus Albany in college basketball. Okay. In the NCAA tournament, it was a 3-14 game. And I had Albany in the first half. Oklahoma's covering the first half the whole way through. Albany comes down, hits a 3.
Bomb.
I'm covering for the first time, basically all half. There's 5 seconds left. Oklahoma comes down, hits a buzzer, makes this ridiculous acrobatic driving shot at the buzzer. I lose by the hook.
Did you play in college too? Because every college had a little bookmaker who was
So I was a little more careful with that.
okay.
I was a little more careful in college. But the first
You could tell us. I know,
No,
mom.
I
I
know,
know, mom and dad
no,
are
I know,
watching.
but
That's okay.
I was pretty conservative in college on that regard.
Okay.
But there were
discipline. That's good.
Yeah, I needed to be disciplined in some in that for sure. But I'll say this: it was always amazing the first time, like coming out here, like the first time, and actually, the first trip out here was for that NCAA tournament in 2015.
That was your first trip to Las Vegas.
That was the first one at 21. We were
Okay.
here a few times when we were kids because we had family friends that lived in
Got
Anderson.
it. Okay.
We stayed at Mandalay Bay. The aquarium was a big hit, along with the M&M store and the Coca-Cola thing on the strip for a 9-year-old kid.
You got a little bit of time for one more little story I'll give you.
Yeah.
You might find it interesting.
Please.
Okay, way back. I'm talking the 70s.
Yeah.
What Jimmy used to do, because obviously we were in a Little Wee sports book at the Royal Inn Casino. Matter of fact, Johnny Spot was just in here.
Johnny Spot had the chalkboard.
Yeah, the chalkboard, yeah.
To write his plays on.
So what Jimmy would do, that's me, after the Sunday game was basically over, well, they didn't even, what I would do, I'd walk to the Stardust because they were the first ones to put up the line or whatever. So I would, I was like, I'd go over there, I'd get the sheets, then Jimmy would go home, and then Jimmy would sit down and his wife would bring a little something to eat, and I started my own little handicapping right there and then. In today's thing, you're swamped with that stuff immediately.
Oh, yeah.
So like when I was a kid, Vincenzo, I don't know how you did it, but I would get the sheet, I would go home, and I would eat, and I'd be looking at writing. My first thing that I did, I just wanted what my impression was. Why are the Chiefs 7? And I just wanted to say, I think it should be 6. But that doesn't mean I was going to change the world by doing it. But what I'm getting at is like the process started, again, with just like a little bit of information that you did. Then Monday morning in the sports book, we put up the lines or whatever. But it wasn't nearly like you think it today. We talk about futures. We do it 2 years ahead of time before something happened. Remember, and here's the other thing. And once again, I'm going to give it to him. Is like to win the Super Bowl, you can put up next year's Super Bowl now, for next year. When we first started this thing in the 70s, you put it up August 1st. You had like 30 days to do all the future books. Now the futures are a big deal. Go ahead,
a year ahead of time. And, back then, we didn't put up the pros until Tuesday because it was Monday Night Football. We put up the pros on Tuesday.
College on what?
And then the college we put up, I think, Thursday, Jimmy. So...
Wow.
And not nearly as many games either. I mean, there were, we did, they weren't called the Power 5
now
at that
even
time.
just look like just for college.
Yeah.
Just look at the amount of games you do at halftime now in comparison to what.
Well, if you look at the stop point, look at the sheet. Every game has a first half and a halftime, and then of course there's in game. There's a lot of in game.
And one thing, let me clear this up.
Yeah,
help me out, my friend. We'll be booking college basketball in another 4 weeks.
3 weeks, yeah.
We didn't even talk about college basketball until the first of the year.
After the Super Bowl.
Yeah. That's how things have changed. Yeah. I mean, so it's a good change because obviously guys like me and Vinny keeps us off the street. But what I'm saying is, like, please, when you have a question, I don't mind answering, and I'm sure my friend doesn't either.
Absolutely.
And I like to get people, because you know what? I get more of those because it shows you the interest in the people betting. And one more thing. Oh, no, Jimmy, they're going to open up gambling in Pennsylvania. They're going to open up gambling here, and they're going to, we'll be out of business. I said, I don't think so.
No.
It created more people playing. Thank you. I'm
Well
done.
said. You good?
Jimmy,
That was
pleasure as
excellent.
always.
I mean, well, remember this: when casino-style gambling expanded in the mid '70s to Atlantic City, and then tribal locations and racetracks and everything, there were people that were saying it was the death knell for Las Vegas.
Not quite.
There's a few more hotel rooms now than here in town than there were back in the mid '70s. We're at 152,000 hotel rooms in the inventory right now. So again, it just gives people the opportunity to experience it, and everybody wants to have that Las Vegas experience. So, and we'll just keep rolling with it.
And our hold percentage usually pans out to be year in and year out is 6%. That's what it is.
There you go. It's everything else, Star. It's just
Right.
part of the overall property experience.
Before we go tonight,
Yes.
just want to get this off here. Dick Butkus passing away.
Yes.
Oh boy.
Chicago Bears
One of
legend.
the one of the best to ever do it at the on the defensive side of the ball. Passing away at the age of 80 earlier today.
Wow.
Is there a defensive player that wouldn't model their game after or reference at least Dick Butkus? I mean, Jimmy and I got this see him play. Okay, here's the reference. You weren't around.
I wasn't around.
Okay. But Dick Butkus was a ferocious competitor. I got to meet him, actually. He was the first kind of the player liaison rep for the original XFL back in 2001. I'll tell you what, the guy looked like he could play then and do some damage.
There's a picture of him 2 weeks ago where he looked like
Yeah.
he'd still go out there and make a tackle.
I'm sure there'll be some tributes tonight, rightfully so. Obviously, the Bears
are in
playing
action tonight.
and
Pretty strong team.
Oh man, that's Dick Butkus. What was he? 80?
80.
All right, who's going to win tonight?
Bears cover, Commanders win.
He
Okay.
likes the points tonight.
Wow.
Young
Can you call up
Jeffrey.
your college bookmaker?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Probably not.
It's a free roll because you ain't getting paid if you win, and he ain't getting paid if you lose.
I can't say you're wrong on either account on that one, Jimmy.
See you later.
Thanks, Jimmy. Jimmy Vaccaro, everyone.
buddy.
Vinny,
I'll see
again,
you.
reminder
Yeah.
for everyone, tickets available for the Xfinity race.
Xfinity race on Saturday. Come to the counter.
Go
you
to
and
the
a
counter.
guest.
Tell them that you heard about it on Sports by the Book.
Right.
2 tickets for while supplies last. There's a nice little stack over there. Right now, Bears still 6-point underdogs
6,
tonight,
and
and a total of 45 at the moment.
Total just creeped up. Remember we talked about it, probably creeping up. So whatever it is, 45, and some great. It's a fun night to start the weekend.
Absolutely. Vinny, we're back tomorrow. 2 hours.
Right.
Football Friday.
And people can see us. Now
Now they can see us right now where you're watching us on the
Right.
stream. But if you missed any of the show today, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all available now. All the audio, all the shows we've done so far available there. If you missed any of today's show, catch the audio replay right at your fingertips, right on your phone.
We
Easy
appreciate
enough.
you watching, listening, and hopefully you're enjoying it.
Yeah, we're having fun. We're having
That's
fun so far. We'll see you tomorrow, 2 o'clock
buddy.
Pacific time. Vinny, Chris will be here as well. I'm sure Jimmy will show as well.
2 hours.
Tomorrow, 2 hours, 2 to 4 Pacific, right here at the South Point Studio on Sports by the Book.